Hey everybody, Stinger here. I want to invite you to a pretty cool podcast.
Watch this film. Be quite nice. Have a good time. Be very evil. And you'll have that Danhausen.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
Yes, it is I, Big E, but more importantly, it is you.
And you might remember me from such YouTube greats as Being the Elite and Chris Daniels Almost Dies.
And if you're looking for the very best wrestling content, you better come to Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And I'm just gonna tell you now, as a role model, you gotta tune into this because if you also wanna be a role model, you gotta learn from the best.
We have a rapport, and we have been so close over so many years. This is not a cameo or a paid endorsement in any regard. This is a message of friendship.
Man, we met 20 years ago, 21 years ago now. Time is flying, isn't it?
I want to wish you all the best in your YouTube channel, and hopefully I can maybe make a special guest appearance on there sometime.
And I used to say, hey, Greg Morgan, and he used to say, please call me Greg, and I wouldn't do it.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Awesome YouTube channel. Now, if you've seen these videos before, you know what I'm talking about.
We would do verbal chain wrestling. You know, we'd be off in the yard, the schoolyard at recess.
And he's also a 40-year-old wrestling fan. That's a long damn time.
And we'd just be staring at each other, and he'd say, hammerlock. And I'd say, all right, I've reversed the hammerlock into a hammerlock of my own, then I put you in a headlock. And, you know, that would go on for hours.
He's not gonna fill your head with bullshit. He's gonna tell you real deal, what's up, and that's that.
Raw, SmackDown, NXT. This guy covers it all, my friends. I want you to go to his page, Good Mic Work on YouTube.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries on YouTube.
But we would have fun. We would run around. There would be a wooden hoop we would hit with a stick, and it would go down a hill.
I'm about to go and watch a few videos myself.
It's a very practical apparatus.
We're really lacking in the world right now with some people that have a freaking brain cells.
And then now look at him. He has more YouTube views and subscribers than I do, and I'm fine with it because I played such an integral role in his upbringing.
Don't you dare be sour.
We always talked about wrestling. He was a big Lou Thez guy, and of course I had an affectation for the Hackenschmidts.
Clap for Good Mic Work Commentaries.
This is RJ City, a wrestling rock on tour.
And feel the pow.
Listen to the podcast, subscribe.
You are watching Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Just want to encourage all you guys to check out Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And if you don't, we're going to have a problem.
Do it!
Do it.
Do it now!
Thanks a lot for the encomium and the nice words about my father's Hall of Fame induction.
Hope our paths cross again sometime down the road. Would love to shake your hand again, and good luck on this podcast.
And you don't just watch it one time. You can rewatch every single one of them.
We are back with a brand new season here on the Winged Eagle Podcast. What's going on, everybody? Good Mic Work Commentaries back at you. I'm your host, Greg Morgan, after a couple of week absence here after WrestleMania, but we are back now with a fresh outlook on things in wrestling, and we got a whole, summer ahead of us and a lot going on here and a ton of wrestling news to get into, so it felt good to kind of take that break, regroup from the podcast, to kind of get all my ducks in a row after that really long week of streaming here during WrestleMania. It was a blast. I've still been here for Raw reviews and other things, but we haven't been up here on a Saturday for a podcast in a couple of weeks, so it feels good to be back for this, and we have just a ton to get into. Don't even know where to start. A lot of scheduling stuff to talk to you guys about. Big video coming up tomorrow. We got a giveaway in this episode as well. Like I said, a lot of news, especially what transpired in the past day or so, couple of days with Mickie James and Trash Bag Gate and Mark Carrano and the slew of WWE internal firings and changes. that resulted in that and all the backlash there. Plus, we've got some happy news in regards to Ronda Rousey and Travis Brown, some sad news to report about Steve Mongo McMichael, and we got a whole week's worth of wrestling results to get into as well, and it's going to be big. First things first, though, I have to give you guys an upfront apology. Right before I went live, this is sometimes the challenges of going live and doing YouTube and live podcasts, things like that. We had a small little power shortage in my office here. All the power went out, and I lost all of my notes that I just spent 2.5 hours making. So the majority of them, I should say, all outlined, sectioned out. Everything was just perfect, nice, and I lost it all, and I couldn't recover it. So I've still got some notes here. This is really going to test my ability to adapt. I'm super bummed out about this because I was uber prepared for this episode, and all that's gone now. But this is going to be a good way for us to see what we can do on the fly and try to test my memory a little bit. Luckily, most of the news I have to talk about, I have that mostly intact. Only lost maybe about 20% of that. But virtually all of the wrestling results that I had written down, with the exception of a few, are gone. And I didn't have it. It was either this or, delay the podcast 3 hours while I redid all that. So anyway, we decided to come up here anyway, and we're going to make the best of it, make it happen. It's not going to trip us up. It's not going to stop us. We're still going to have a fun episode, a fun podcast, and it should last a good solid 2 hours here because we have a lot to get into, like I said. But before we do that, let me just say hello to those that were in the chat, and then I want to let you guys know what's on tap for tomorrow and Monday on the channel. And I want to shout out the people in the chat, the patrons, and I want to give you guys instructions on how to enter for the giveaway that we're going to be doing here on the podcast as well. But first things first, good to see you, George Morris. Thanks for the $5. Greg, how are you doing? Very sad news. Former Chicago Bear and wrestler Steve McMichael as ALS. Yes, we will be talking about that. Big fight in a local restaurant over farting. That happens. People are starting to go back out again, and the farts are going to increase. 2 more from you, George. Thank you for that. I'm originally from Indiana, now from Florida. Right on. Have fun in Florida. David Brown, very, very sorry to hear about your fiance. That is horrifying. Thoughts are with you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Everybody will be here. Do our best to cheer you up as best we can. Good to see you, Ben and Deshaun and Jet the Hawk. Michael, Nate is here. We've got Sonic Plays, Jet the Hawk. K-Dog's Kennel is here. We got to shout him out in just a minute because Kevin is instrumental on what's going on tomorrow. So let's start talking about that because I want to dive into the news since we did have about a 5-minute delay here from me getting up here once I have realized I had that note issue. But we have a big day tomorrow in wrestling. Just a whole bunch of stuff going on in general. And you're also going to get me up here for a live review. That's going to be a review on 1993's Royal Rumble, the entire pay-per-view. We're going to do a live review on it tomorrow at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast there. And that is going to be 1 hour prior to the Impact Rebellion pay-per-view that is available on Fight TV on pay-per-view tomorrow. So for those of you who are interested in seeing that in the Kenny Omega Rich Swann match, which is really the only match on that whole thing that I'm really interested in at all, I'll be going up prior to that. So you'll have enough time to watch that if you choose to, and I don't have to go head-to-head with anything. We also have 2 big bios or documentaries coming out tomorrow as well. The A&E documentary or biography, I should say, on Roddy Piper comes out tomorrow, and I believe that'll air at night at 8 p.m. And then they had released a little clip or snippet from that on social media this past week. Did you guys catch that with Vince McMahon calling Roddy in hell? He's like, how you doing, Roddy? It's a little warm down there. Oh, save me a seat or whatever he said. Just fucking bizarre. So that's going to be interesting. And the WWE Network is releasing a 24 documentary on The Miz. And I ain't going to lie, I know we give The Miz a lot of shit here on this channel, but I am actually kind of interested in that. And I think that's going to be really good. So tomorrow is a big day of wrestling. There is plenty of stuff to watch if you have got nothing going on or you're going to be, sitting inside or not doing much tomorrow. You've got a pay-per-view. You've got 2 big wrestling specials on WWE Network and A&E. And you got me coming up here to review the Royal Rumble 1993, which is courtesy of K-Dog's Kennel. Kevin, who is sponsoring that review tomorrow, he's got a Twitch channel. Kevin, throw your link in the chat if you would like, and the link is going to be provided in that video and everything tomorrow. So we'll be up here tomorrow, Royal Rumble 1993. Just remember that. And we'll be up here Monday, of course, after Raw for the Raw review, as usual. I mentioned the giveaway earlier on. I'm going to make this available to those of you who are here early and are in the chat already. It's kind of simple. I'm not going to worry about doing super chats or anything like that. This is just going to be a free giveaway. This is the t-shirt that was released on Pro Wrestling Tees, and I'm going to put the shirt up here on the screen for you to see. And we did a charity stream for this for this cause last year for the Sammy for Syria, which goes to set up a mobile clinics that'll operate mobile healthcare to people who are refugees and things like that. So really good cause. We did that last year. It was a lot of fun. And since Sami Zayn had this really awesome T-shirt that was released for 1 week only, they were going to sell this shirt, and 100% of the proceeds was going to go to Sammy for Syria. So I picked up 2 of them to give away here. But unfortunately, I only have larges. I have 2 larges of these. And the reason that is I didn't think there was enough time for me to pick a winner, contact you, get your shirt size, and order it before the sale was gone. It's only, I think it's done within the next 48 hours. So I kind of had to buy these ahead of time. But, if the shirt is too small for you or too big for you, then maybe if you win it, give it to somebody who it does fit, or you can pass it on to. One way or the other, it goes to a good cause, and that's what's important here. So if you guys want to enter to win this shirt, I have got my screen recorder on. So all you got to do in the chat, hashtag Sammy for Syria. That's all you got to do. And after later on tonight and tomorrow, I'll go through there, put all the names in a randomizer, pick 2, and we'll announce the winner in 2 different places. One will be tomorrow on the Royal Rumble 1993 review, and I will put a post up in the community tab on my YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe and just go over there and check out the community tab tomorrow, and I'll have the winners announced there. And if I don't know you, I'm going to be asking you there to contact me, at my email. If I do kind of recognize you, or I might know who you are, I might be able to find you on Twitter or something like that. You might hear from me. But either way, that's the way we're going to do it. Just in the chat, hashtag Sammy for Syria. You are automatically entered, and we'll pick out 2 people and send out these shirts as soon as they arrive to me. I ordered them yesterday, so it'll probably take a week or 2 to get to me, and then about another week to get to you. But anyway, if you win, I'll be happy for you. So you can enter that. Thought that would be a fun thing to do on this kind of refreshed Winged Eagle podcast for this post-WrestleMania 37 season. So anyway, there you go. That's all the house cleaning stuff I have to tell you about today. And we can kind of get into, the issues and topics at hand today. And we're going to start with the big news, and that, of course, is Trash Bag Gate. This was a big deal this week in WWE. Of course, last week on April 15th, WWE released a big handful of talent that sparked the 2021 version of WWE Spring Cleaning. So they got rid of a lot of people, including Mickie James. Well, earlier on this week, I believe it was Thursday, I guess all this went down. Might have been Wednesday. Actually, no, I think it was Thursday. Mickie James posts on Twitter just a photo tagging Vince McMahon and the WWE in it, saying, hey, Vince, I'm not sure if you were aware, but I did receive my WWE care package today. Thank you. Hashtag always blessed and grateful. Hashtag women's wrestling matters. And it's a picture of what appears to be all of her stuff that they had sent her after her release in a cardboard box and a trash bag with a piece of blue duct tape on it that just said Mickie. So they sent her shit in the trash. And she tweeted about that, even made an Instagram post about it as well, where you could hear her talking, and she goes, that's pretty fucking typical and a pretty good representation of how, she feels she was treated. So she did not appreciate that, went online, and WWE, rightfully so, got a whole bunch of shit flung their way. And I am really surprised at the swift course of action here. I cannot believe how quickly this all escalated. I cannot believe how quickly action was taken, at least in part by WWE. They normally they never like bad publicity, but it's like when they get so much of it, they just sometimes don't seem like they give a shit or whatever. So I was surprised to see it escalate to this degree, to where not only we had, there was more than repercussions here. There was multiple firings and multiple terminations over something like this, when, I kind of thought, when the fans were attacking Triple H and Stephanie, I'm like, do you really think Triple H, Vince, and Stephanie are sitting around a kitchen table boxing this shit up and mailing it out? They got people to do this for, to do this for them. This is, they've got their production crew guys that probably are in charge of throwing all this shit in the box. So I didn't think it was really that big a deal, because it's probably not taken with that much consideration. I'll just mail her shit back to you. Who cares what it looks like or whatever? But it looks really bad, especially on a company that the very same day is doing their Q2 earnings call, and they're reporting these ridiculous profits that were down from Q1, but still very, very big, and they're sending people shit back in trash bags and stuff. So they responded immediately. Triple H and Stephanie both tweeted out apologies. So did Johnny Ace, all taking responsibility for this. And Triple H went on to say that immediate action was taken, and the responsible party had been fired. Now, this is kind of where I lost some of my notes, which kind of sucks, but this was really starting to point the finger at Mark Carrano. That was a lot of the rumblings early on that he was going to be kind of quote unquote the scapegoat for this, because he seems to be, as we're going to talk about here, he seems to be somebody that seems to be overwhelmingly disliked. There are some that had no issues with him, some that liked him just fine, but for the most part, it's a lot like Johnny Ace. You always hear negativity, but when you're in a position like Mark was in, that's kind of a lose-lose job type of thing anyway. So, you're probably not going to be well liked no matter who you are, but they apparently let him go, and they were relieved. A few other people were relieved of their duties as well, including an early report on John Cohn, who is Nicholas's dad, who does some of the refereeing. He's a senior manager in talent relations. Mick Foley and I think Dax Hardwood from AEW both tweeted out support for him, and WWE seems to have kind of changed their tone there, or maybe that was a false report, but he is going to remain in his role there as a senior manager of talent relations, which is good because a lot of people did like him. But unfortunately, in my notes, I lost the names of the other people that were released, which sucks. But there was, swift movements throughout WWE to try to put a lid on this and try to make it right. And a lot of people were speculating too that Mark Carrano had been there a long time. He this allows him a way to get out, I think, without being officially fired. Maybe he can resign, something like that. In the details there isn't probably going to hurt him in the long run. And plus, a lot of people said they could see the writing on the wall here, and he was kind of on his way out anyway. So WWE kind of used this as a way to maybe smooth all this over as best they can. And Stephanie and Triple H both went out of their way to respond to Mickie James, including Stephanie. And Mickie responded to her. Stephanie said after this to Mickie James, "I am embarrassed you or anyone else would be treated this way. I apologize personally and on behalf of WWE. The person responsible is no longer with our company." And then Mickie responds, "Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that, as I am equally embarrassed. I know this wasn't a malicious act. However, it did feel very symbolic to how it was presented in the last 3 years." So I'm at least glad Mickie, kind of gave that last shot at the end. Yeah, okay, obviously nobody intended to be malicious here, and I'm still grateful for all my years there, but come on, you treated me like a piece of shit, for the time I was there. What the fuck did I even come back for? So I feel her frustration. Mickie might have taken it a little bit further, maybe too further than it needed to be at the end of the day when you really look at what we're talking about here, because a lot of people who have that opinion on social media, I read a lot of those opinions, and I don't disagree to a large extent that what are we really talking about here? We're talking about a form of disrespect that is kind of fucked up, but let's not make it World War III, okay? We're talking about a box and a trash bag with some clothes in it, not the end of the world. So after this, Mickie James then releases a long statement, which you can catch. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can catch it on her Twitter or Instagram, wherever you want to find her stuff. And it's a very long, looks like 2-page long, drawn-out statement about her time in WWE and how she feels about the whole situation. So at that point, I felt like it was a little bit being milked. I was 100% and am 100% on Mickie James's side on this. She is a legend. She is somebody that they better damn well be calling up here in a couple of years to go into the Hall of Fame and shit like that. And I don't appreciate the way she was treated, and I feel like she could have done more there. I was happy to see her on guest commentary at NXT, I think on the kickoff show. I think she'd be a great person to be a trainer or an agent or something like that in WWE. And I always felt like she deserved better with her wrestling career and deserved to be presented better, booked better in a lot, especially during her comeback. So I can feel her pain there totally, but at the same time, business is business and life is life. And I don't know what you really wanted WWE to do. I saw a lot of people after Triple H's response and Stephanie's response and WWE's response saying that it's like not enough. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, what did you want them to do? You want us to call the cops? Should we get the FBI involved in this? It's really not that big a deal at the end of the day, but I'm glad that a whole bunch of heat came on WWE for this, because it's just the little things. Anytime they can kind of get what's coming to them for all the fucked up shit they do, and they can finally be called out for something, because now in the social media age, when fans get wind of this, man, they press hard or whatever. So WWE acted swiftly and I guess responsibly. I think this was the appropriate action taken here for something like this, because apparently this is standard practice, and a lot of people had come out in the last couple of days and said the same thing happened to them, including Gail Kim, I think Maria Kanellis, Jillian Hall, all said they got their shit sent to them in a bag before. So this is kind of the way it's been going. And a big drawn out report from Fightful, which I also lost in my notes here. I suppose I could pull up, but that was in here as well. They were the ones, along with Wrestling Inc., that originally reported that it was Mark Carrano, the one to be fired. And then they had a long, detailed report about a lot of their sources coming to them in WWE saying that Mark Carrano, you know, his letting go wasn't that much of a surprise. People really didn't like him for the most part, and they had issues with him, the way he, you know, handled himself. Some people feel like, you know, he's just in a lose-lose situation. The power got to his head type of thing. A lot of people said he's just very, you know, he's insincere. You can't really trust him, take him for face value or anything like that. And that's partly in part due to his job. I'm sure that job is fucking crazy and it sucks. But when you're a sniveling little shit on top of that, it probably makes it even that much worse. So it didn't seem like a lot of people were, you know, shedding any tears over Mark Carrano. And in another interesting twist here, his ex, I guess his ex-girlfriend or something, decides to go off on him on Twitter and just start, and again, I lost all this shit in the notes, but she started just kind of throwing him under the bus, talking about their past relationship and how he treated her and some of the things he did and the way he acted, some of the things he said to her, the disrespectful stuff. She even accused him. When I read all this, I was kind of laughing. And because it was just like, Mark Carrano once did this, Mark Carrano once did that, you know, and let me give you her Twitter if you want to go read it. So I'm reading all this. I'm like, man, she just sounds like a hilarious woman just outing him for every little tiny thing. So I decided to put up a tweet that said, Mark Carrano seems like a guy who would leave the shopping, or would not put the shopping cart back. So then she retweets it and responds to it and tells me that he tried to kill his ex's cat by choking it. And if you go to her Twitter page, which is at Pinky Simovich, on Twitter, she just goes on this tirade all about Mark Carrano, and a lot of it is just really funny, the way it's written, the way she's just kind of matter of fact saying all the things that he did, including tagging Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon, Triple H, and WWE, telling them that he hides belts that he stole from WWE under the bed in one of his houses or something. So she's hilarious. Don't know the truth of any of this stuff. This is one word against another, but she absolutely went off on him. So she seems to be very pleased about his, you know, firing from the company. I don't know why she didn't come forward with any of this stuff before, unless she's just using this as an opportunity to further bury the guy. I don't know. But anyway, looks like he's relieved of his position there. He's not going to be starving or anything like that. There's a long drawn out position. He's going to get a big severance package, probably going to be fine, and ultimately probably happier. They've used him as the scapegoat to try to get all of this swept under the rug as best they could. And it probably will be. At the end of the day, we are talking about a trash bag here. And as much as I think it was disrespectful to Mickie James, as much as I'm happy that she was not scared to take a video and a picture of this and out them on social media, and maybe some of these long-running practices that have just been the standard there for so long, for so many decades, you know, maybe it takes something like this for, WWE's tone-deaf management to realize that maybe let's start handling shit a little bit better. So anyway, at the end of the day, not a huge deal, but a hilarious one. And I'm so glad when WWE gets called out for anything, because the shit that they get away with is absolutely criminal. So I usually find comfort when they have to take a little bit of heat, because they fucking deserve to take a lot more than they do in most cases. But anyway, that's the situation there with all of that. I think a lot of people were, kind of like me. We all felt horrible for Mickie and thought it was all fucked up. But, at the end of the day, we also have to move on from it and not make it such a big deal that, we're talking about this a full week later. So I knew the closest time I was going to be able to come up and talk about this was going to be today. I wasn't going to come make a whole video about this, although the internal firings were quite shocking when they happened. Figured we would just kind of digest it all here on Saturday on the podcast. So very interesting stuff there. We'll see, we'll see what the future holds for a lot of this released talent, if some of them are coming back or what. But, in the meantime, I think it's time to move on from that. I forgot Mark Carrano was on Total Divas. Yeah, and apparently he's a total creep, too. Yeah, as far as I know, Flaw, I think some other performers had gotten their shit in bags. Maybe none of them thought enough about it, or maybe if they didn't care. I don't know what I would think. I would probably just laugh at it, like, these motherfuckers sent me my shit back. But Mickey took it that step further and to put it on social media, and that's good. WWE needs to know that, people will call you out. So maybe any other things that they're now realizing, oh shit, I can't believe we haven't got called out for this before. We better change that before we do. Maybe this will help spark some of their other, fucked up practices to maybe be altered a bit to where stuff like this doesn't happen. But pretty, I guess, amusing story more than anything else this week. It wasn't one that, I found it, was using as a source of anger or anything like that. It was more just like a comical one. Like, seriously, WWE, seriously? Mickey James, this veteran that's been there so long, that gave you years of service, that performed well, that's, that can be a teacher in a lot of ways and a good locker room presence. Just a little common decency can go a long way, and that's just not what they get. And I understand the argument. Well, what did you want them to do? Put all their shit in a nice golden suitcase? No, of course not. That would be silly too. But come on, a trash bag with some duct tape. Come on. Shout out to whoever made the WWE shop mock-up of a Future Endeavors commemorative bag, complete with name tape. Fucking hilarious. WWE logo on a trash bag. $89.99. Available now on WWE Shop. Go pick yourself up one if you want to be a future Endeavor talent like some of the others. Anyway, I did mention that WWE Q2 financial call. I lost all my notes here. I only have a couple of the base numbers here. And that is the WWE did report a revenue of $263.5 million, a decrease of 9%. Or a decrease of $27 million from the first quarter of 2020. So that was kind of the big number there. But things did get a little bit different with their operating income, which did go way up. So that was probably a big part of it. And all of the other details and notes, unfortunately, I did lose, and I'm sorry about that. But we weren't really going to, spend too much time on the financial report anyway. It was just the fact that this coincided so closely with all these releases. I'm like, if these motherfuckers 2 days later report these record earnings, it's just a tough pill to swallow to watch the way they do business. But that's the way it is. Big congratulations we want to send out to Ronda Rousey and Travis Browne, who announced they are pregnant with their first child. Ronda Rousey got pregnant back in January. She says she is due in September. I hear September 6th is a fine day to have a baby. So let's hope that the baddest baby on the planet is born on my birthday. And congrats to the happy couple there. I guess that rules out Ronda Rousey for any sort of wrestling return. I kind of was wondering if she'd maybe show her face at WrestleMania. That obviously is now not going to happen. We may never see Ronda Rousey back again. Who knows? Now, if we do, we're talking, probably a year or two out, or at the earliest, that Rousey could even be talked about again. And I think it's, at least right now, it's in all likelihood, I think she is done with wrestling. I don't see any reason for her to come back. She had the best year, one of the best years. She can go out a legend. She was undefeated all the way up until her last match. She took to wrestling in a similar way that Kurt Angle did. She just fit right in, understood it, did well, performed well. But in the end, I think she really didn't like the fan base, and I don't blame her. And if she doesn't want to come back and perform, I don't blame her. I was in the audience. The night that her, I think, view of wrestling changed in the Staples Center when, when she's in there against Charlotte, public enemy number one in the IWC. And then all of a sudden the fans, because they don't know what the fuck they want ever, start booing Ronda Rousey. And even she's like, what the fuck? So she's like, I'm not going to go out there and kill myself, break my back, tear my skin up with kendo sticks and take pile drivers and get dropped on my head for a bunch of fans that don't appreciate me. Fuck you. And she hasn't been seen since. So anyway, best of luck to them. Happy for them. Very, very happy for them. And I really, really hope we do see Ronda Rousey again. I don't know how she can just come in for a year like that and never again. Hopefully down the road, that'll be the case. But if it isn't, and she's home now to raise a family and just be happy and enjoy all the money she made off beating people's asses all those years, we're happy for her as well. So, that's awesome news. We got some news on Peyton Royce. Recently released Peyton Royce should be turning up somewhere soon, whether it be on TV or independence. And she has filed for the trademark Cassie Lee. So she's gone by some Cassies before, I think prior to coming to WWE. So that looks like it will be her permanent name going forward. And she is one that I would not be surprised to turn up in AEW just because she is good. She did improve a lot in her time in WWE and her relationship with Shawn Spears. And the women's division can always use a familiar face. So I wouldn't be surprised if she turned up there. Maybe not Billie Kay, but Peyton possibly, or Cassie, excuse me. Also want to send some very, very sincere well wishes to Steve Mongo McMichael. It was reported that Steve McMichael is suffering from ALS. He was diagnosed with this back in January, and there's a really nice article up and interview in the Chicago Tribune where he was quoted in this as saying, "I promise you, this epitaph that I'm going to have on me now, this ain't never how I envisioned this was going to end. I want everybody to realize why they're no longer going to see me around. I thought I was ready for anything, but man, this will sneak up on you like a cheap-shotting Green Bay Packer." So he wasn't expecting this. This was a sudden type of thing, diagnosis, and this is just an ugly disease. You know what it does to you and everything. It's absolutely horrible. So it's so sad when you see, somebody, that we remember come down with this. One of my favorite Twitter pages or Twitter accounts out there is our friend Mongo. Just a lot of Steve McMichael clips from all the hilarious things he would do in the ring, and he was pretty good for wrestling. He had that charisma and he had that voice, and he kind of turned up in that Lawrence Taylor deal in WWE at first, and then jumped over to WCW when Nitro started, and when he was in the announce booth there, got in the ring a little bit, won the U.S. title, was a horseman, did a lot, and it's sad to hear that. So we wish the best for him and his family, and how he deals with this ridiculous illness. It is a shame, such a shame to hear that. And I know Dean Malenko, of course. We heard about his Parkinson's diagnosis not long ago. So I'm always thinking about Malenko, and now we got McMichael diagnosed with ALS. It's just a shame. So anyway, best of luck to McMichael. We love you here on the channel. Let me scroll back to the chat here, knock out a couple of super chats, and then I'm going to attempt to get into the Wednesday night stuff. But again, like I said, I've got super cliff notes here, but I got a good amount of Dynamite written down. Plus, I remember a lot of Dynamite. I watched the whole show, and I liked it. It was fun, but there was, a couple of iffy things on the show as well. And we got a few things to talk about in NXT as well. Big debut on NXT and a couple of other things. And then we'll round out the podcast here talking about last night's SmackDown and the big stipulation that's added to the big WWE title match next week between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. That's interesting, and that should get the speculation running like crazy. In the meantime, if you guys can smash the thumbs up button for me, I would really appreciate it, and try to get the likes up since I'm back on a Saturday. Colin, I haven't decided. I don't think I'm going to order the pay-per-view. Here's why. I'm only interested in the Kenny Omega Rich Swann match, and I just don't know if it's worth $50 to watch one match or not, and I'm not going to do a review of it or anything tomorrow. Don't have any plan to do that. So I'm just going to eyeball social media and just try to get an idea of what's going on through that. So for once, I'm actually not going to order something. I don't really watch Impact anyway. I can't really justify paying that, especially since, correct me if I'm wrong, there is 0% chance that Rich Swann wins this match, correct? Kenny Omega is going to have all those titles. And help me, does Rich Swann have both belts right now? Didn't they do a unification with him and Moose? So I don't know if Rich has got two right now or if they've kind of unified that into one. Can't remember what they did there, but either way, I think Kenny is coming away with multiple gold. Can't see a scenario where it goes the other way. So again, I just can't justify paying it, But we'll see. You never know. I do crazy things sometimes. Let me see. Joey's Adventures. Appreciate $5 from you. If done right, The Fiend versus Aleister Black could be WWE's Freddy versus Jason. That's true. We're going to be talking about Aleister Black as well, who returned last night. And I'm just glad to see him back. And I'm also glad to see him involved in a vignette that looks like it has a little bit of financial backing behind it. It had the animation and stuff like that. So I still do not trust WWE whatsoever to do anything proper with Aleister Black, but at least they're trying. At least they've got an idea for him. And at least this explains where he's been. They've been getting him ready for this. He's not really that much detached from what he used to be, and he's a total heel, but at least, they're kind of investing something into bringing him back to TV and making him an important character, because I think that's when it's important, because he's fucking good, and he should be a top contender at all times in that company. For some reason, he ain't. Let me knock out these last few supers, and then we will get into AEW Dynamite. Good to see as well. Christian and DX is here. I think I got you, Flaw. And Carlos is here. Melissa is late, but that's okay. So is Ratnick. Trey, good to see you. Jose is here. Nikita. And we've got Andy. Thank you for the $2, dude. Appreciate that. DJing a prom tonight. Nice. What theme should I play? How about WWF The Music Volume 2? Let's rock out some Mankind on those high school kids. Have fun there, man. That's probably a trip to DJ a fucking prom. Holy crap. C number Moonsault. Appreciate the $2. Tribal Chief gimmick is stale. I miss the big dog. You are out your mind. We won't block it because you seem like a nice guy. Deshaun Robinson, thanks for the 5 from you. Hey, Greg, hope your weekend is great. I signed my first ever lease at 22 for my apartment. Mickey's situation was her second run in WWE in a nutshell. Damn, I know. It was a mess. Well, congrats. First ever lease. Right on. Don't have any parties. And that's a big step, man. Enjoy your apartment. Bachelor pad, man. Hope the rent is reasonable. Michael Cuomo, thanks, dude, for 5 more from you. Hey, at least they took the time to pack their stuff, which is more than I got when I was fired layoff. Exactly. Sammy for Syria. Yeah, what if Swan just beats Kenny Omega clean? Like, of course not. So this is a situation where with Impact, where it's probably going to benefit their title to take it to another show and get it some national TV exposure. So even in the loss here, it's probably going to benefit Impact in the long run just to have that outcome. But yeah, Rich Swann kind of in a tight spot, and I'm sure then, I mean, what is his cohorts and Impact, from a kayfabe perspective, going to think of him if he drops the title and loses their title to a rival promotion? He's just talk about being in a lose-lose situation. This dude's in the main event and he's a champion, and he's probably in the most undesirable spot that anybody could want. That's rare. So yeah, it sucks for Swann. All that stuff should be interesting tomorrow. Would I ever see an Andrade debut in AAA? Sure. Absolutely. Charlotte, the the suspension angle that they did with her after they beat the shit out of the referee, apparently is so she can get some dental work done. Meltzer had some kind of shitty things to say about her and her image and things like that, which prompted her to respond. But in that response to Meltzer, which she had every right to make, she did kind of confirm that was the reason that she was taking time off. So my only question there isn't about image or anything like that, is that if this was, I don't know if this was emergency or if this is something that was planned to do, because if it was planned to do, what the hell did they even bring her back for? Just to bring her back and now she's going to be off again. I don't know. I kind of thought that I kind of liked this new attitude Charlotte. I hope they stick with it. I hope that wasn't done just for 2 weeks so they can get her suspended and then she's going to come back, being normal Charlotte. I like that attitude of Charlotte. We talked about that on Monday. Felt like a little bit of a reboot with her. And now that this was just done as a way to get her off so she can get, get some stuff done, then I'm like, oh shit, I just hope it sticks when she comes back. That's all. So we'll see how long the suspension or whatever lasts, but she'll be back at some point. She tweeted out a picture of her smooching it up with Andrade on the beach. So she's loving the time off and isn't missing it at all. Good for her. We like Charlotte on this channel. We always have Charlotte's back. Anyway, let's get into... Yep, that was the last super chat. Just making sure I got all those done. Let's get into AEW a little bit, because this was a really good show on Wednesday. Wasn't perfect, had its issues, but we had 2 big title matches, and one of them was just spectacular. Actually, they both were, but I was really impressed with one. And I think overall, we probably had at least 4 matches on the show that I thought was really good. And the biggest news here is that this week, they held that rating. The first week, unopposed, they drew about a 1.2. This week, 1.1. So they stayed above 1 million viewers, which to me was a huge victory. Not much less the 1.1, but I'm like, if they can just stay over 1 million, I think AEW is going to view that as a victory, because, I think the fans that thought that neither rating was going to budge at all are a little bit silly. Of course, they're going to budge a little bit. A lot of people watch AEW, even the people that hate it. So I was thinking, head to head, if they're getting 800,000, 700,000 on the norm, it would stand to reason that unopposed, that should at least bump up a little bit, 15, 20%, which should just put them right around, that million range. So they're actually exceeding that here, which is good. A lot of people thought the 1.2 was a fluke. Oh, they'll drop all the way back down to 800,000 the next week. No, they actually didn't. They held it here. So we'll see. The key to holding a good rating is to give you a good show to say, you know what, I'll tune in and watch that next week, instead of trying just to get, fluke ratings or whatever. So I thought they did a good job of that here, that if you are having people that are like lukewarm about AEW, or they don't get mixed up with the online war and they don't have a Twitter or anything to help, to help sway their opinions one way or the other, and they think for their goddamn selves, I think people like that who do like wrestling can say, oh, I'll tune in and watch that again. That was really fun. There was some crazy shit. There was a lot of comedy, a lot of fun, a lot of wackiness, a lot of brutality. There's the cool thing about AEW is I do think they give you a variety, and they gave you that here on this show and did a good job hyping up the event coming up on May 5th in 2 weeks of the Blood and Guts with the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. That's going to be nuts. and I'm ready for that. And they had a pretty good promo here by MJF, another career-making promo for him, setting up all that nonsense. But anyway, some of the stuff we saw on AEW, like I said, I kind of lost my organization, but I still have everything written down. I just have to try to sift through it a little bit. We had the first match of the night was Hangman Page versus Ricky Starks. This was really good. Really good match here. There was a scary spot. There was a couple scary bumps all throughout the show here. But the one here where Ricky kind of got folded up, it was almost like a German suplex type of move, and he just basically just landed on his head, and his head just was tilting in a funny way, in a certain way that I didn't even think a neck could really bend. And he just kind of laid there like that for a second. Turned out to be okay. Finished the match. Dude's a stud. He wound up tapping out. I forgot what Hangman has a name for that STF-like submission, but Starks tapped out for that. We had some extracurricular activity after that match, I believe, as well. I know we had Brian Cage come out. Taz got on the microphone first and told Hangman Page that he was lucky. He was lucky that he beat Starks, but he was the better man tonight, blah, blah, blah. Then we get Cage coming out, and Dark Order came out to make the save there. Again, I lost all the details there that I had written down, but I do know it was Team Taz Hook. It was Hook and Cage that came out, and then Dark Order came out and made the save for Hangman Page. And next week, I believe they booked Page versus Cage, because Cage was about to nail Hangman with his deal or whatever and got interrupted. So that match will be next week, and that should be interesting because Hangman's kind of, he's the top singles contender right now. It seems like in the company. It's a big test next week. Him and Brian Cage. Should be good. Really good match between Trent and Penta here. I love that. I love that Justin Roberts reads Trent's name like a question on the introductions. Little things like that are great. Another scary spot here where Trent was dropped on his head at one point in this match that looked a little bit too scary. There was I think it was a pile driver. It was a pile driver DDT on the apron from Trent to Penta that just looked ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Again, all the details on this I lost, so I got to go by memory here. I do remember that I guess Alex Abrahantes had gotten on the microphone and was talking shit to Trent, saying that his friends suck and Orange Cassidy sucks, and most importantly, your mama sucks. So that's when Trent loses it. He goes and gets a chair. He tries to chase Alex into the ring. Orange Cassidy gets in there at some point. He's super kicked by Penta, I think. And then I think they're about to somebody grabs the chair and is about to nail Trent with it. And that's where it gets sticky. That's just where I lost all my shit. All I know is he fights it off somehow. He gets a hold of the chair, and it's one of those wooden chairs with the slats in it. And oh shit, nope, I'm getting this mixed up with the other match. This is what sucks about losing your notes, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm just a fucking mess. Anyway, that's not what happened. After Orange Cassidy gets taken out, Penta is able just to hit Trent with the package pile driver for the win. I'm getting this match confused with the Anthony Ogogo shit later on. I'm sorry. I'm annoyed with my notes here. So anyway, that's the end there. Penta gets the victory over Trent, and that was a really good match despite, I think, that scary spot. After that, we had the Pinnacle sit-down interview with Jim Ross. This was really good, too, because it was kind of like another career-defining moment for MJF, I think, with his promo. And, he did most of the talking here and allowed Wardlow to say a couple of things, which was funny because last week, Jericho, a lot of people thought, cut a great promo, but he did stumble up his lines a little bit when he got to Wardlow, talking about the 13-cent body and the $1 million brain or whatever he said, that he got it mixed up there. And Wardlow said, as soon as Wardlow came out of your mouth, you knew you done fucked up, and you couldn't even get your shit straight or whatever, and you're scared of me, blah, blah, blah. MJF winds up getting a silk Burberry scarf because now it's spring and no need for the wool one anymore. So he's now wearing a sleeker type of scarf, and goes on to compare him and Jericho at age 25. Said, you were jerking the curtain in WCW at age 25. Here I am hobnobbing with main eventers. And, I've got a great record in the company. I'm a contender. I got my diamond. I got my posse. I got all this stuff. And, there's a little bit of truth to that, that he is maybe in a little bit higher up on the spot on his particular card in the company that he works for than Jericho is. But I don't know how high MJF would be up on the card, if he was there with Hogan and Hall and Nash and those guys, or at least today's stars, maybe a Roman and a Daniel Bryan and a Brock and shit like that. So it was a pretty cool moment there for MJF. He just, cut a blazing promo there, and he said that he's a mark for Jericho's spot. He even talked about Jericho, all the guys that he's worked with to try to help elevate, and, really dissected Jericho's career and his run in WC and in AEW. And, just basically shit all over him. So it was a really good way, I think, to hype up the Blood and Guts match coming up. Inner Circle will get a chance to talk later on in the night, but this whole little sit-down thing here was real good. And I'm looking forward to that Blood and Guts because we missed it a year ago and we were looking forward to that. And I think this one should be really good. In what I think is the match of the night, and looking back, reflecting on Dynamite, I think this should have been the main event. Darby has been in the main event a couple of times with that TNT title, and I loved Darby and Jungle, but I cannot say enough good things about Hikaru Shida and Tay Conti for the AEW women's title. This was an absolutely phenomenal match. I was so excited to see this, and it was even better than I thought. Now, I've really been holding out hope for Britt Baker to be the person to take the title off of Hikaru Shida. They've already teased that a little bit, so I really had trouble believing that Tay Conti here was actually going to walk away with a victory, especially that it wasn't in the main event. I just didn't really feel a title change here, but props to both ladies who damn near changed my mind during the match. I thought maybe Tay Conti was going to pull off the upset here a couple of different times in the match, and I was just really impressed with her physicality. She's just physical as hell. She'll beat the shit out of you. And when she was in NXT, I think I saw a grand total of maybe 3 of her matches. And in those days in NXT, just an undercard match, a chance for you to get to see somebody, see how they move in the ring and what they can do, but you can't really get a really good feel for them. And she's been able, I don't know why they let her go last year. I mean, I understand that they let a ton of people go, but she might have been one I would have hung on to. She's now over there, and I think, able to spread her wings a little bit in the whole Dark Order stuff, and she's able to, you can see a little bit more what she can do in the ring, and she's super capable. This is a big deal. This is a TV title match, type of thing. And she rose to the occasion big time here. And like I said, not only delivered a lot of punishment, but took a lot as well. So this is a pretty brutal, just hard-hitting match and very, very physical, and I like to see that. A couple of the spots here, like I said, I lost most of this, but I still remember a lot of these spots. I remember the Brainbuster onto Conti on the floor. That was crazy. There's a crazy like backbreaker top turnbuckle bump that Tay Conti took, and she hit. Just looked really sick. That was a wow, get up out of your seat bump. I love that. Conti kicked out of a bunch of things, including, I think, a Falcon Arrow and like a reverse package pile driver. She kept surviving and surviving and surviving. And that was what the interesting part here is, because every time she kicked out from one of these, I was like, oh, maybe she actually is going to turn things around on Shida. Shida doesn't wrestle that much. I feel like she's been champ for a while and a dominant champ, but I think she's only 8-0 or 9-0 in her title defenses, something like that, which is a good amount, but not a ton. So she doesn't wrestle a whole lot. So a couple times here, I thought that maybe, Conti's in a little bit better physical shape and she can just grind and pound her down and, maybe actually pull off the upset here and win the title, even though I was kind of resistant to it because I'm really holding out for Britt Baker. All I could think about was Britt during the whole match. So finally, in the end here, great finish, backbreaker into the katana by Hikaru Shida to Conti for the win. Wins a really good, hard-fought physical battle there. I think Tay Conti will have her day in the sun again. She is way too good, and this is a really good outing for her, and I think she looked really, really strong in the loss. Didn't feel like it was time to really pull the trigger on her in terms of champion. Don't think she's quite there yet in terms of, her exposure on TV and things like that, but Tay Conti's got progressively better, and she's had all these matches on AEW on Dark and on TV, and I think put forth a really good effort as a challenger here and came up short. At the end of the match, Britt Baker's music hits. She comes out to show the screen, which now updates the power rankings, I guess, or whatever they are in AEW, and she is now number 1. So she has reached that goal of being the top contender for Hikaru Shida. That is going to be who takes the belt off of her. I am 100% convinced. Britt Baker's a star. She already was one. She was really getting over when she was injured there, and then what put her over the edge was that blood and guts brawl that she had with Thunder Rosa that was so good, and that was a career-making match, sparked a t-shirt and everything. And I think I've thought this for the past 6 months, that Baker is the one they should build the division around and let her be a heel champion for a while and just be her Britt Baker self, because she's great. So this is a really happy development for me, because now it symbolizes that this match is on the horizon. Not sure if it's going to be just at the pay-per-view or they're going to try to book it sooner than that. I don't know. But when it does happen, I'm putting all my money on the dentist, because I think she absolutely has to win this title, because she's the top star that they have in terms of, just overall personality and stuff. And, their women's division has gotten better. It's going to be tough to compete with WWE because they're so talent heavy, but they can compete with them in other ways, and they can utilize the talent they have to their best possible potential, like Tay Conti, who WWE would have just had her backstage probably doing nothing, or maybe just in an underneath match losing to, what's the girl's name? What's the new girl's name that fought Saray? Zoe Stark, or something like that, instead of actually showcasing her in a big match, just seeing what she can do, and using the talent that you have. So I think that's all positive, and I think with the Britt Baker and Sheeta stuff, that's going to be a step in the right direction for the women's division. I'm really happy about that. Inner Circle got a chance to speak in the ring with Tony, so Pinnacle was backstage with JR. Inner Circle's in the ring with Schiavone. Long promo about blood and guts here. I lost the majority of what was said here, but I did really like the line kind of in the end when Jericho says, we're tougher than you and we're crazier than you. And I kind of believe that because, first of all, they got Santana and Ortiz there. Santana even called Pinnacle a bunch of bitches. He's not one I'd want to mess with. Ortiz is just hilarious. And we've seen what these guys can do with the Elite and the Stadium Stampede and some of the other shit that they've done. They are crazy and they can be crazy. And I think when it comes to that, they might have the edge on the Pinnacle. When it comes to that, I think they can be somewhat, maybe aside from MJF, maybe a little bit more creative with how they fight these guys or whatever. So I think that they kind of have the edge there, just in the experience of this multi-man type of our faction versus your faction type of thing. So I think they are the favorites there. Help me out. Did the Elite win? The Elite won the Stadium Stampede, right? So I feel like Inner Circle maybe has to win this, but then again, you want to keep MJF's momentum going as well. And I've been wondering for a while if they're ever going to write Jericho off TV, but I guess not. So we'll see how all this goes. We got 2 weeks, we got a week and a half now to think about it. Next week's show will be, I guess, the go home. We got 4 big matches announced for next week, by the way, which again, I lost, but I got to remember, I think it's Page versus Cage. I know it's the Young Bucks versus the Seidel brothers. I think we've got Chris Statlander and Penelope Ford, and there's one more that I can't remember, but they've announced, I think about 4 matches for next week. After that, we get QT Marshall versus Billy Gunn. Of course, QT Marshall has recently formed the Factory, turned heel. He's out there every week wearing a bowling shirt. Very funny. He's in the ring here with Billy Gunn. He's got Anthony Ogogo, Olympian boxer that they have signed, who is really impressive and has got a presence to him and had a one-punch victory, I think, last week on Dynamite. He's on the outside of the ring. He gets a chair. Dustin comes out there to make the save, and that's where they do the whole wooden slat thing. But prior to all of this, Marshall winds up winning with a cutter, and I think he won. Again, I'm going by memory here. Billy Gunn, I think, got nailed on the outside of the ring. I think a gut punch from Anthony Ogogo to Billy Gunn, threw him in the ring, cutter by QT for the win, and that's when they do the chair stuff. So this is what I got confused earlier on with. I was almost combining the 2 segments. But after that, Ogogo is the one that gets that funny-looking wooden chair with the slats out or whatever. He gets in the ring, and he's really trying to line up, and really get a good shot on Billy Gunn. But Dustin Rhodes comes out to make the save instead. And I think that's when, I think it's one of them picks up the chair, and Nick Camarado is also out there, who's a member of this Factory faction. And he gets in the ring and he just rears back and he hits him. And I'm so glad they used this old school chair. You would see some of these a little bit in the 80s. They would have some of these wooden chairs and they look unforgiving as hell. But in modern times, you can probably gimmick these things. And it seemed like they definitely did, because when Camarado got hit over the head, it exploded and just disintegrated into the atmosphere, which was fucking hilarious. And of course, he no-sold it, which was great. So I really enjoyed that, because it's cool to see those old school chairs brought out every now and then. I remember those from when I was a kid, and it's always fun to see anything with slats on it be smashed over the head of a professional wrestler. It's never a bad time. So that was pretty good there. Here's one of the weak parts of Dynamite that I thought was pretty lame on the show, I ain't gonna lie, and that's the Elite interview from the trailer. Now, they're hyping up a little bit. They didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about this match with the Impact Champion either. You would think this company, I think they mentioned it, once or twice maybe, but they weren't making as big of a deal about it as I think they should have. This is a company whose championship is on the line. On Sunday, they could potentially lose their championship. Now, we all know that's not going to happen, but, from a storyline standpoint, they could. So you would think they would be a little bit more concerned, or they would, maybe hype this thing a little bit more. The Elite is in their trailer cutting this promo in there with Kenny and Don Callis and all those guys. And as Kenny is trying to talk, there's all this honking from outside. And he's trying to talk anyway, but he can't stop hearing the honking. He's like, God damn it, what the fuck is that? So they look outside, and then they cut to the outside, and it's Moxley and Kingston. They're in a car, I think it's a car or a truck together. And then Moxley just hits the gas, and they just drive right towards what is now this like trailer, this black trailer with like an Elite logo on it. They ram the trailer, and then they get out of the car to look for the Elite and go inside, but they're like nowhere to be found. And I thought that this was kind of poorly edited. This did not look good. First of all, the promo from inside the trailer was not a trailer. It was a bus. You could tell. It looked like it was like Kofi Kingston, like CM Punk's bus or something like that. It looked like one of those like tour buses that they were cutting the promo inside of, but then the outside shots were just done in an old trailer that they made to look like it was theirs, but it was poorly lit. It looked like it was in the back. It looked like it was not even in a really nice area. So inside this bus where they were filming it, it looks all nice. Outside, it looked like they're in the middle of a Walmart parking lot or something. I didn't think it looked good at all, and I thought it was obviously spliced, two different pieces of footage spliced together to make it look like one. And I think from a production standpoint, they could have done a little bit better there because it wasn't believable. You never once thought that the Elite was in that trailer when Mox and Kingston were ramming it. It would have been better if they would have done like an internal shot. If they had cameras in there, why didn't the cameras stay rolling when Mox rammed them? They don't have to go overboard. I don't like what WWE does remember when they would like ram ambulances and limousines and shit into shit. There'd always be like an internal camera in there. We don't need all that. But like there was literally a cameraman in there filming Omega talking. Why didn't they film the car ramming into it? Why didn't we get that view of it? Because they weren't in there, and it was in a bus. It wasn't in a trailer. So anyway, point is, I think that could have been tightened up a little bit to be a little bit more realistic. It looked Bush League. Sorry, AEW, I love you, but that's the way I feel. After that, we had Christian taking on Will Hobbs. Talk about a size mismatch here. Holy shit. I'm happy for Hobbs. He gets to be in there with a veteran like Christian, but he just beat the pure shit out of, Christian, who's only maybe 10 or 15 pounds heavier than I am at the most. And Christian just took the onslaught from this guy. This guy's just humongous, beating the hell out of him for most of the match. Christian survives everything, fights back. Couple of, a lot of firing, peppering forearms and punches and stuff, hits him with a frog splash, eventually locks in the kill switch, only one, and pins Will Hobbs. I would have done a little bit more to Hobbs than what was done here, but it was still a really good match. And I got to say, Christian, after each match, he looks like he's about to die. He does look a bit winded, but his matches are quality. They are. He does know what he's doing in there. I think he's a good presence to have in AEW. I'm happy for Will Hobbs to get this opportunity to wrestle a veteran like that, but I don't know if Will Hobbs would have been my personal first choice to put in the ring with Christian in a match that he can win. Maybe someone a little bit closer to his size would have helped there a little bit, because I like Will Hobbs and I don't want to see him lose too often. I was not aware, they talked about this on commentary, that Will Hobbs drew inspiration from Butch Reed. Didn't know that. It moves Will Hobbs up a little bit on my dudes I am rooting for meter. So good for him. And hopefully we'll see more from the powerhouse in the future. We had the main event was Darby Allin defending the TNT title against Jungle Boy. This was a really good match. Again, another main event here for Darby Allin. And this match was really good, very good even, but based on the strength of what we saw the women do earlier, I would have liked to see these flipped. I kind of wish Darby and Jungle would have been earlier on in the card, and you would have let Sheeta and Conti main event here, especially with the ending of that match with Britt Baker coming out. Don't you think that would have been a really cool kind of cliffhanger ending for AEW instead of what they did here? Because every one of their main events lately seems like it ends with all sorts of run-ins and shit. So I think that would have been better had Sheeta, win a hard-fought match completely clean against Ty Conti, and then Britt Baker comes out and points up at the thing and says, "You and me, girl, you and me," and you fade to black. What's going to happen, or whatever, with Shivani and JR. I think that would have been a much better way to close the show here, but that's nitpicking. Both matches were great, and that's all I really, at the end of the day, care about, and Jungle and Darby was no different. Guys killed each other here. Again, this was a theme of the night, and I don't need to nitpick on them, but we did see a couple of really scary bumps on this show. Guys coming a little bit too close to snapping their necks in half, and there was a couple of sick spots here that Darby Allin took. One of them was on a really good-looking Poison Rana at one point that looked ridiculous. We had Sting and Luchasaurus were out there representing their men. They actually get into it a little bit there. They actually start brawling with each other and brawl through the entranceway. So they basically just did that to get them out of there. Allin wins with the Last Supper, so he beats Jungle Boy, but it wasn't without a lot of fighting. At one point, Allin even went for the eyes. I think Jungle had like a submission or something locked in on Darby Allin, and he went and tried to gouge his eyes out and shit. So, we haven't seen that side of Allin. He had to resort to some heel-like tactics just to survive here, but did in the end survive, retained his TNT title in a really good match. Jungle Boy continues to improve, continues to get better, and he is just a hell of a little athlete there. So I thought this was a really good match overall. And of course, no TNT main event would be complete without a whole bunch of people running out. So after that, we had Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page hitting the ring. They attacked Darby Allin. I think Jungle Boy even tries to come in and make the save there. He's overwhelmed, and that's when Sting and Lance Archer both make their way out there to help fight everybody off. So that was kind of the way Dynamite ended there. Like I said, really good show. Couple of the weak spots. I thought the Elite trailer ramming segment was a little bit lame. There was a couple of really close calls here with falls on the head that were not good. But other than that, I think they were hitting on everything here. I thought the matches were good. Like I said, we had really good matches with Trent and Penta. Hangman and Ricky Starks was good. Ty Conti and Hikaru Shida, tore the house down. So did Darby Allin and Jungle Boy with two really big title matches there. They did a great job hyping up Blood and Guts with that great MJF promo, and a great promo followed up by Inner Circle. All in all, pretty good show, just with a couple of, I give them negative points for, being a little weird here or there. Otherwise, I was pretty happy with Dynamite overall. That was good stuff. You got to bear with me here while I track down some NXT stuff, because I lost all of that, but I have it close by to where I can peek at a few key things here we want to mention about NXT on Wednesday. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. We'll make this work yet. But before I do that and get into that, let me cruise back over here to the chat and make sure everybody is all good. Stone Cold, you're watching me at Kroger? That's awesome. Shout out to Kroger. I used to shop at Kroger when I was a kid, or we had a Kroger in Michigan. And then when I had one in North Carolina too, when I lived there, I shopped at a little bit. Now I'm a Ralph's guy. Yeah, the WWE, you're right, Melissa. WWE dropped the ball with Ty Conti, but that's okay. They have a lot of talent there. That's the thing. They can, as good as she is, they could afford to lose her. I wouldn't have let her go. I don't know how WWE didn't manage to sign Jade Cargill. How'd she slip through their fingers? Imagine getting her in the Performance Center, teaching her how to wrestle like Charlotte or someone. Jesus, man. So it's interesting, but what one company casts aside, another company can use to their full potential. And I'd rather see Ty Conti doing what she's doing in AEW than doing what she was doing in NXT. So yeah, I think they're dumb for releasing her, but at least it allows us to see her deliver really awesome championship matches on TV, which is something we weren't getting from her before. So in the end, she's doing well. And in a lot of ways, it might be better, because when you're in a division like that, that's has far less talent than what WWE does across all three of their brands, you can get noticed more, like she did here. Perfect example of that. She got noticed. So I'd rather be a medium-sized fish in a medium-sized pond than a little fish in a gigantic pond. So she's probably better off where she's at. Solid oak chairs, they were called. No, they're not solid oak. They are balsa wood or something. Whatever they are. Yeah, happy birthday to John Cena. Yesterday turned 44 years old. Me, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and Tom Brady were all born in the same year. So, greatness, or, just comes out of the 70s, man. I'll tell you what. But yeah, happy birthday to John Cena. I've made a nice happy birthday post to him yesterday on Twitter. Proud to say that I've had that dude's back ever since our very, very first YouTube video 11 years ago. I absolutely refused and resisted at all costs the urge to join the IWC children and their irrational hatred over this guy. And despite the obvious booking problems that there are with John Cena and that he does not appeal to everybody, the jaw-dropping incapability to realize his ability, his work ethic, his value to wrestling, and that he was really needed. After Benoit in 2007, you needed that squeaky clean, fucking babyface to kind of ride out this, negative press storm that they're going to be involved in for the past several years, and he was the perfect representation. Goes off and does stuff in public appearances, always carried himself well, got noticed, wound up catching the eye of Hollywood, and, nobody ever thought they could ever follow in the footsteps of The Rock, and he's certainly not doing that, but he's making it respectable. He ain't making Santa with muscles and Mr. Nanny. This guy's out there making funny movies, and he's doing stuff, and he's very active, and he seems to be moving on to another chapter in his life, and we're very, very, very happy for John Cena on this channel. Always knew the guy was a stand-up dude, and I think we're going to see him back in wrestling at some point, hopefully to win a championship. But in terms of him returning to the John Cena that he used to be, where he just dominated every storyline and every championship and all that, those days are long gone. You can target your anger somewhere else. Fans did that with Roman Reigns, and when you think about it, we don't have one of those right now. Are the fans doing okay? Well, yes, we do. I'm sorry, we do. We still have Charlotte. Phew. I was getting worried for the fans there for a minute that they weren't going to have anybody to be psycho over. We've got Charlotte. Forgot all about Charlotte. Thank God. Fans are going to be okay. As long as they have something to hate, they can survive. They need food, water, and hate to live. And luckily, we still got Charlotte. So, yeah, anyway, happy birthday, John Cena. Let's talk a little bit about NXT because there was a couple of funny things here. What do you guys think about the new look Kyle O'Reilly? I thought that was pretty funny. He came out there dressed in like a, kind of like a jean jacket and some ripped black jeans, and he's got some sunglasses on. I don't know who the fuck he's supposed to be. To me, he looks just like every single guy that's walking around here in Southern California. So he didn't look too crazy to me, but I did enjoy kind of his like new look, and I'm not really sure what they're going for here. It feels like, he was trying a few things out in his commentary, in his promo and stuff like that. I don't know how he's trying to get over what his angle here is and, what he's trying to be here, but he kind of comes across as this like, hipster type of guy or whatever, and talks about all the sacrifices he made to overcome Adam Cole in that great match that they had. And now that he was able to do that and take him places and be a worse human being that Cole was, and basically like sell his soul to the devil to take him to that dark place to get through all that, he now understands the formula of what it's going to take to make it to the top. And they even kind of teased here the next challenger for Karrion Kross might in fact be Kyle O'Reilly. So that should be a really fun match. I think Kross is going to kill him, but I think that should be a really fun match, especially since O'Reilly is kind of gearing a little bit of his style more towards the toughness as an MMA aspect. I think Kross is still way too big for him, but I think O'Reilly will still give Kross probably the best match he's had so far, in my opinion. So we'll have to see if that winds up happening there. During his promo, Cameron Grimes comes out and interrupts him, and they go back and forth a bit, and I just love Cameron Grimes with his Dogecoin and all that, and that would set up the main event match later on in the night, O'Reilly versus Cameron Grimes. We had LA Knight picking up a win over Dexter Lumis. This was funny. During the match, Indy Hartwell is on the outside of the ring, and I'm loving the Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis love story. I like them both a lot. I've always liked Dexter Lumis, and Indy Hartwell's starting to grow on me because she's funny. And, she's got the size and presence. Do you know that Indy Hartwell is the exact same size as Raquel Gonzalez? They're the same height. You don't know it. You don't think of her that way, but she's got size and presence to her, and her doing this stuff with Dexter Lumis, it caught my eye when they were doing the therapy session a few weeks back when she was kind of mumbling under her breath, about, they were talking about, oh, Dexter Lumis tied me up. And then she's kind of go over there going, well, he can tie me up anytime, things like that. So that as soon as she started doing that, I'm like, I like her. She's funny. And then last week she passes out and faints while he carries her away, and she's like giving a thumbs up. So everything they're doing there, I really, really like. So she distracts him. He can't seem to stop looking at her. As he's climbing back in the ring, it allows LA Knight to hit him with that, kind of stone cold stunner, diamond cutter combo finisher that he has. I don't even remember what he calls it. Hits Lumis with that as Dexter is attempting to get back in the ring and pins him and wins. Dexter doesn't seem to be too concerned because after the match, Indy then jumps up on the apron and she's up there and he's staring at her on the other side of the ropes and they're about to come together for a kiss. She's puckering up hard, and that's when the Way shows up and pulls her away and drags her from the arms of Dexter Lumis, which is just a shame because I really want those two kids to make it. So hopefully they can run away together or find some alone time together. Keep a lookout for that this Tuesday. Some canoodling between Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell. Check your broom closets. They might be up in there. We had the Grizzleds taken out to Breezango in a good tag team match there. That one was okay. And then, of course, we had the debut of Saray. WWE has gone Joshi shopping again. They're bringing her in. She's got a lot of, she's got a lot of hype. And they put her in the ring with Zoe Stark. I think this was set up like outside earlier on in the day where Zoe approached and was like, I want this opportunity to face you. And at first I was like, Zoe Stark, we love her. WWE clearly does too because they're giving her a ton of TV time, but they haven't given her a ton of wins yet. And I feel like she's somebody based on her performance and how hard she's working. She needs a win. But you're not going to win over this debuting star either. She's going to, Saray's going to get the win here. So I guess they just picked Zoe Stark because she knows she'll make Saray look awesome. So she did. It was a really good match. Now, I saw a lot of people complaining about, who is this girl? They're making such a big deal about her. Just give it time. It's okay. It's going to take a little bit of time for her to, kind of get over and for us to really see what she can do. Her match here was great. She's very physical a lot too. She's got a lot of that, just kind of hard hitting, strong style stuff, which I like, but in the end, this is only our first look at her. And I thought Zoe Stark gave her a great match. So in terms of that, I really had nothing against it. Maybe fans are a little bit annoyed how WWE's hyping up Saray, but you got to make plans for life after Io Shirai and keep that division going and stuff. So I'm kind of hoping for the best for Saray. I don't see any sort of negative stuff there. She can only get better. If she didn't really super impress you in this outing, okay, but saying it's one match. I mean, she's there's been a lot of people that didn't super stand out to me right away. She's got to get over and get her personality over, and we got to get to know her. So we'll see how that goes. Good opening match for her there, though. Here, her debut against Zoe Stark, and props to Zoe for just giving her a good match. And WWE, I don't have to tell them to do something with Zoe Stark. I feel like they will eventually because she's featured every week, and it feels like they like her a lot. So if anything, my eye was on her more than Saray at this point because I know Saray is going to get the opportunities. Stark, I'm wondering when they're going to do a little bit more with, maybe spice up her look a little bit, give her a little bit more, I don't want to say of a gimmick, but, some more, maybe permanent theme music, something a little bit less generic, and try to get her in the mix from a contention standpoint because I think she should be on TV winning matches like right now. So best of luck to both. I liked them both. It was a pretty good match. I didn't catch what Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai were talking about backstage. I think that they're going to eventually come together here. They're going to have that split, and Raquel will wind up defending the title against Dakota Kai at some point, I'm pretty sure. We had an NXT Cruiserweight Open Challenge, brand new champion, Kushida. Of course, we missed the podcast last week, so I wasn't able to talk about his victory over Santos Escobar, but he is your new Cruiserweight champion. So happy for him because we all love Kushida. Debuted a little bit of a new look here. He's shed most of the Back to the Future references. He's now wrestling barefoot, has a little bit more standard wrestling gear. I don't think he's got the vest or the other shit going on anymore, and the sneakers and all that Michael J. Fox stuff he seems to have lost. And I really like his new kind of legitimized look. It fits him well, and I'm glad that they've moved on from that. And now he's Cruiserweight champion. His issue with Escobar is not over. But the match here with Oney Lorcan was really good. So again, NXT can always they can always pull through with just good, solid matches if that's your thing. By the way, their rating, I believe, was 841,000. I think I still have that written down. Yeah, I do. 841 on the NXT rating, so they were down quite a bit from AEW. You got to wonder if these numbers continue, these trends, and they stay relatively the same in this general area, and WWE is losing at about a 300,000 viewer pace to AEW compared from Wednesdays to Tuesdays, you have to wonder if they go back to head at some point because their presence on their presence on Wednesday definitely affected AEW's rating, which was kind of the point the whole time, I think. And you have to wonder if maybe they got away from AEW, but their ratings didn't do anything. NXT's ratings are the ones that are staying kind of closer to the same. AEW has actually risen. So we'll see if these continue, if more changes are made down the road, and how spiteful or vindictive WWE chooses to be with this stuff. But anyway, the Kushida Lorcan match was really fun on Tuesday. I enjoyed that. We had Imperium defeating Everrise. Everrise is, quickly becoming my favorite tag team in the company, all because of Kevin Owens. But of course, they are jobbers still at this point. And the main event was really good between Kyle O'Reilly and Cameron Grimes. I love Cameron Grimes. I love that he's getting main event matches like this. This was incredible. And of course, Kyle O'Reilly is going to get the victory here in a great main event. Prior to the match, they did tease a little bit of that Karrion Kross, Kyle O'Reilly stuff. So we might be seeing that as a title match if they decide to fast track this here and do it right away, or if they decide to build it a little bit. Karrion Kross, with him being a fresh champion, just winning this title belt, I don't think any of his immediate challengers are going to be taking the title off of him. I think Kyle O'Reilly could have a pretty fun story here if he's one of those guys that, falls short 2 or maybe even 3 different times in his attempt to win the NXT title and then finally has his day down the road. It would be really cool if he were to lose to Karrion Kross here. Maybe put up a little bit of a good fight, but for the most part, it's kind of decisive to where, Karrion Kross puts him down, beats him clean, right in the middle type of thing, goes on his run for 6 months, and then around SummerSlam time, O'Reilly comes back to challenge again. This time beats him, sending Karrion Kross to the main roster. But then again, you might want to have Karrion Kross as the person that beats Karrion Kross to be somebody a little bit bigger. And you have to wonder who's going to be the person based on how strong Karrion Kross has looked. Is that person going to be a Kyle O'Reilly? As much as I like Kyle, I would say probably not. I probably wouldn't have him be the guy to beat someone like Kross. I think beating someone like Kross needs to be somebody big and bad. And the only person right now I can think of that is in his vicinity of being big and bad, other than a Lashley or a Brock or someone like that, is our friend Walter. And Walter might be the guy. He'd be my pick to dethrone Kross. If you could somehow get to a Walter and Karrion Kross match. I don't think that they're going to be unifying any titles here because we still have NXT UK, but who's going to take the belt off of Walter? We talked about that in recent weeks too. Feels like both these guys, you got to think about who is going to defeat them one day. Who's going to beat Walter? Who's going to beat Karrion Kross? Some people had some good ideas for Walter and who he could potentially lose to down the road that I liked, but that might even be on the main roster or something like that. I don't know. But whoever does knock off Karrion needs to be a badass. You know what I mean? Kevin Hefner, thank you for the $2. John Cena Sr. has some crazy opinions about WWE. I bet he does. Tony Khan is in here? I don't think Tony Khan is in here. We had AEW in here a couple of weeks ago. Well, Tony Khan wasn't here. I missed him. I'm really sorry. Samoa Joe and CM Punk. I'd be down with that. Oh, there. I see it now. Promoter of the year, Tony Khan. I see the fake person. That's right. I did see that, Ryan Rhoda. Thank you for that. We did get a Tony Storm attack on Zoe Stark after the match, and Dakota and Raquel were responding to Mercedes Martinez. That's right. I did see that on Tuesday. Kind of going by memory there, but that's right. Yeah, thank you for clearing some of that up there. It's going to be equally hard for SmackDown because I lost all my stuff, but I do remember SmackDown because I watched a lot of that last night, and mostly it was done to set up what Daniel and Bryan and Roman Reigns are going to do next week. So we'll talk a little bit about SmackDown, and then we'll take a look at what we've got for WrestleMania Backlash. I refuse to call it that. It's Backlash. That's coming up, I believe, on May 16th, and only 2 matches announced for that. 2 title matches, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, and Bianca Belair defending against Bayley, which was set up last night on SmackDown. So we'll get into that as well. Let me just pull up some of my SmackDown notes from over here so I can at least try to remember what the hell I'm doing. I'm reading some tweets. Thank you for that, guys. All right. Yeah, last night's SmackDown. So lots happening here with SmackDown and the Roman Reigns title situation, and I kind of like the direction we're going in because I got a really good feeling about Cesaro. This makes me happy. So Cesaro is already in the ring when when the show starts, and Seth Rollins interrupts him pretty much right off the bat. So Seth is up on the stage, Cesaro's in the ring, Seth is talking about WrestleMania, Seth is talking about the star that he is compared to the star that Cesaro is, and how when he faced him at WrestleMania, he took somebody that was way down here and brought him way up here, and then went on to blame the rain delay for his loss, which I thought was a super nice touch. How lucky Cesaro was to win, because had the gods of nature not, caused the rain delay and threw me off my game, I'd be standing here victorious, and you'd be just another loser like you always have been. Shit like that. That's pretty good. We wind up getting Daniel Bryan joining Cesaro in the ring. Russo is up with Rollins on the stage. They go back and forth a little bit, and then we go to commercial. And we come back. We got a tag team match, and it is Cesaro and Daniel Bryan defeating Jey Uso and Seth Rollins in the tag match. I think, was it Bryan that caught the knees? I think it was Bryan that caught the knees. Trying to see how that ended. Yeah, running knee to Uso is what Bryan caught him. So that was an okay match there. But they would be back out there later on to confront Roman Reigns, because they're challenging for a title shot or whatever, and they'd be out there later on to try to get that answer from him. So I don't know, maybe half an hour or so after that tag team match, they're back out there again. They call out Roman Reigns. He comes down there, makes fun of Daniel Bryan, talks about how he's a loser, a top tier loser, and look at you. I think he showed a picture of like him stacking Edge and Bryan on top of each other. See you, that's you on the bottom there. It was fucking hilarious. He's got a new shirt talking about stack them and trash them or whatever the fuck it said. So that's kind of a funny deal. And Bryan and Roman kind of get in each other's faces, and they've got this title match set up for next week. Roman Reigns finally accepts, because we talked about how this guy does not really wrestle on SmackDown. So hopefully the fact that they're advertising this, it does actually happen, because they need not blue ball us on this match. This should be pretty good. And Roman said that he will grant Daniel Bryan a title match on one condition, that if he wins, he never wants to see Daniel Bryan again. Basically, it's like a loser leaves town match. A Daniel Bryan leaves SmackDown match. Roman does not have the stipulation. Only Daniel Bryan does. Daniel Bryan accepts. Roman's title is on the line, and Daniel Bryan's career on SmackDown is on the line, which immediately got a lot of people speculating online what this means, because I think we all know next week, Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title will not be a title changing match. Roman Reigns is going to win this and hold on to the title, which means Daniel Bryan is going to be off SmackDown. So if he is, what does it mean? Where does he go? What's he doing? His contract, I believe, is up this year. So is this Daniel Bryan winding down? Is this Daniel Bryan finally saying, I want to go out for a couple of big title matches, put over the top guy, and maybe sit out the rest of my contract and, start thinking about retirement? Or does he want to make the most out of his few months left there and maybe go to Raw? Maybe go to NXT. Little farewell tour for Daniel Bryan. What if he goes down to NXT, works with Adam Cole, works with Kyle O'Reilly, works with somebody down there just for shits and gigs? Why not? Maybe heads over to Raw more permanently to, maybe have one final program there or whatever. And then when his contract is up, maybe this is it. I mean, I do believe he said when he came back from, in 2017 and he signed that contract as an in-ring performer, that 3-year deal or whatever it was, I think he kind of implied that was it. Not that can't change, not that he can't sign on for one more year or something like that, but, this might be the beginning stages of us starting to prepare for life after Daniel Bryan. This could all begin next week, because we know he's going to lose. After that, we just have to hope that Daniel Bryan turns back up, whether it be on Monday Night Raw. Maybe they want to use Daniel Bryan on Raw to help with the ratings or something. I don't know. And like I said, it would be really fun to get him down to NXT. So we'll see what happens next week. But, I think it's safe to say that if Roman Reigns stacked and pinned Edge and Daniel Bryan on top of each other at WrestleMania, chances are pretty good that he's going to beat Daniel Bryan here next week, unless they do something super duper insane crazy. Because, like I said here, excuse me, this match is extremely predictable. Maybe WWE knows that as well, just like Rich Swann and Kenny Omega tomorrow. Who the fuck is picking Rich Swann? Same thing next week. So, maybe WWE decides to get nuts. Edge interferes, bashes Roman over the head with a chair or something. Daniel Bryan wins the title. And now Edge is like, hey, I helped you win. You give me the title shot or whatever. And then it's Daniel Bryan and Edge for the title. But that leaves Roman out in the cold, and WWE ain't doing that. So barring anything major like that happening, obviously, I think Roman Reigns is going to win the match here. We also thought that we were going to get Daniel Bryan versus Edge at Backlash. I feel like that's a match we could get. We could still get that, because Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania caused he stopped Edge from winning at least once. I think maybe twice, right? If my memory serves. Didn't he? Or maybe Edge cost Daniel Bryan. I can't remember. So maybe if Edge comes out there and costs Daniel Bryan the match, maybe Bryan's got Roman Reigns tapping out again. Edge costs him the match, and then that leads to your Backlash match, but Bryan is still gone from SmackDown. That could happen. I still would like to get that one-on-one at Backlash, but maybe we're not going to get that. We'll have to see. But I think Edge needs to turn back up somewhere too, because he wasn't on SmackDown last night, right? So at some point, he needs to turn back up. So what I'd like to see happen is Edge make his presence known in that main event that would somehow set up to Daniel Bryan and Edge at Backlash, if you can do that. If Daniel Bryan loses and he's off SmackDown, I don't even know if he can make that match, but maybe that's what they do. If they do that, that allows Roman Reigns to be freed up for a challenger at Backlash, which could still be Cesaro. Cesaro and Seth could still work together, but it could also be Cesaro and Roman. So that's what I'm hoping for, that we get next week, the everything set in place for that. But I could be wrong. I could be way off there, depending on what they have planned. But I just think that Bryan's got to go, at this point. Tamina defeated Nia Jax. A little distraction roll up there. Reginald and Shayna Baszler are doing shit on the outside of the ring. Nia's like, what are you doing? And then Tamina rolls her up and beats her. So that happened. We get an Intercontinental title match as well. Kevin Owens actually gets a shot at the title here against Apollo Crews. He does a backstage interview earlier where he even says, he goes, man, it's been years since I've got a shot at the Intercontinental title. Big E comes in, kind of implies that Owens is kind of line jumping a little bit. He's like, they give me the shot, dude. Don't fucking blame me. I'm not going to deny it. They're giving me the shot. I'm going to take it. So match happens. We get, it's kind of another distraction type of deal for Apollo Crews to get the win on Kevin Owens when he's distracted by, what's his name? Aziz. It's Admiral Aziz. I forgot what Aziz's name is. What comes before Aziz? I forgot. But that was enough to kind of distract him on the outside for the win there. After the match, I think Owens drops Crews with a stunner, and that's when Aziz comes back in the ring and he hits Owens with, he calls it the Nigerian nail, but it's basically a Samoan spike. It's good to see that move back. Umaga did it so well. He made it look so real. He's like, and then he hit you with it, and all that. So I don't think Aziz has a quite as sharp as that, but he still hit Owens with it. Good to see that move being brought back. Hopefully Aziz will do it justice, because I always enjoyed the Samoan spike, and I thought Umaga pulled off the move really, really well. So happy to see that brought back. That guy is huge. They would do a backstage kind of brawl later on. Who attacked Apollo Crews? Aziz leaves, Apollo gets attacked, and he comes back. He's like, what happened? I just left you for like 1 minute. That was pretty funny. Again, I'm sorry, I lost all my notes, so I'm trying to do my best here to remember what the hell went down. Then we are backstage, all sorts of stuff going on with Kayla Braxton, Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode are there. Bayley gets involved in that, talking shit about Bianca Belair. Montez and Dawkins are there as well, and Montez decides to call Bianca and get up in her business, his woman's business, and say, hey, Bayley's talking shit about you. And then she confronts Bayley later on, and that's when they talk about the Backlash match, and Bayley is trying to kiss her ass and trying to backpedal a little bit, but Bianca's not fucking stupid. She's got that street smart. She's buying none of it, and I think Bayley and Bianca could be fun. I think Sasha Banks is going to have to make an appearance here or something. I don't know what they do with Bianca and Bayley, because that's a pretty big opponent put in front of Bianca this quick, because you think whoever Bianca faces first, she's just going to up and beat, right? But I would almost save Bayley for like a little bit bigger of a title program than this. So I kind of hope that Sasha comes out there, and I don't think I want to see quite yet a Bayley clean loss to Bianca. Not just yet. Because then you're like just 1-2, just like that. Bianca's already beat Sasha and Bayley right off the bat, and now who's left to really, really, truly contend for the title? I think you need to leave the door open for Bayley. If she loses here, or a DQ, or Sasha does something that gives Bayley an in later on to say, look, that win was bullshit, I should get another shot or whatever, that can keep a lot of big top challengers gunning for Bianca, which I think makes champions a lot more exciting when they've kind of got their backs up against the wall. So I don't know if I just want to see one-on-one, Bianca beats Bayley, that's it, retains the title, no sign of Sasha, no nothing, because I feel like that leaves you less options to go moving forward for Bianca, and her run as champion, because I want it to be a successful one and a memorable one. I don't want her to kind of be forgotten the way Asuka was, or to be sitting there without any challengers. We all on this channel want the best for Bianca Belair. So let's hope that whatever they do at Backlash set something up bigger. But I think we're probably going to see Sasha Banks maybe show up. If not, maybe on SmackDown on the go home or the post Backlash SmackDown. I feel like Sasha's got to go heel at some point because she kind of, she talked a little bit of shit last week in the interview, and I feel like she's on the verge of that. So I think that she's going to have to make her presence known in that match, for Backlash. We had the Mysterios defeating Alpha Academy in a tag match last night as well, kind of alluding to the fact that they are still looking for tag team gold. I wish WWE would have given it to Ray and Dominic at WrestleMania in front of an audience. Instead, if they do this moment for this father and son team, it's probably going to be coming in the T-Dome, and I'm not that thrilled about that. So I just wish they would have given those guys a little bit bigger of a moment. But at the same time, I'm cool with the Dirty Dogs being the champs right now, whatever. We'll see where all that goes. Alpha Academy, I absolutely don't give a shit about at all. Love Chad Gable, don't really care about Otis, and wish WWE would just do a little bit more with Chad Gable. He's another guy. Think about how noticed he could be somewhere like AEW, where he's more lost in the shuffle here. He's too good. He's too good just to be doing this nonsense that he's doing. So anyway, what do you guys think about SmackDown last night? I thought it was like an okay show. I thought they've had some worst ones in the last few weeks. This one wasn't horrible. I guess it did what it had to do, set up for not only Backlash, but next week with the big title match that they're going to have taking place right there on Fox. So it should be good, should be interesting. Ready for next week. Edge is selling the Concerto at Mania. I still feel like he's going to turn up somewhere. Adam Cole announced for next week NXT. Oh, Mark Simpson, that's not a real replica AEW belt behind me. That's just the toy belt. You can just get it online, Walmart or something. I did not spring for the full AEW belt. I got real replicas over there, but the AEW one behind my head is the cheap version. Shelled out a big fat $20 for that. Cha-ching. One day we'll pick up the AEW title belt. One day. Yeah, some people are drawing comparisons to Aleister Black in the 2015 Bray Wyatt gimmick a little bit. Not really. He's got that book. I don't know what he's got the book for. Kind of hard to place it. Like, I don't know. As much as I was happy. Oh, thank you for that, Deshaun. I got to mention that. As much as I was happy to see Aleister Black back, I'm just concerned about, what they're really going to do with this character when it debuts, when it finally gets in the ring and stuff, because he was good before. He had a cool entrance before. He had a cool presence before. There was nothing wrong with who he was before. So now they're changing him up a little bit. He's still retaining a lot of that Aleister Blackness that he already had. But I almost think, like, what's really going to be the difference between doing this with him and spending that extra time, money, and effort, kind of spicing up his gimmick a little bit? What's really at the end of the day going to be the difference between that and what he was doing before in terms of booking and, and his win-loss and if he's a contender or not? I just don't trust it. I don't trust WWE to not do shitty things and not be spiteful. I don't know what they're all feeling internally about the Zelina Vega situation. I don't know what Aleister Black feels. He might wish he could get out of there, but he can't. He's locked up in the contract. He has to do what they say. So his head might not even be in it. I could be way wrong. I don't want to speculate on his motivation there, but is this a guy who's just saying to himself, as soon as my contract is up, I'm fucking out of here? Because if that's the case, then, and WWE gets a sense of that too, I don't know. I think Aleister Black is a WWE championship title contender, and I don't feel that he's ever been portrayed as that and is going to now. That's just the way I feel about it. But I think he should. Aleister Black does. You know what I mean? That aura that Aleister Black has. He retains some of that, but. Oh, I didn't know Big E and Apollo for the belt next week as well. They announced that match. I did not see that. I didn't even have that written down on my original notes. I was not aware. Ted DiBiase, I thought, was going to come in and do something with Cameron Grimes. I'm hoping they do that because that's pretty funny. And yes, Deshaun, thank you for that earlier on. There was also on NXT a really cool sit-down interview with a sit-down interview with Io Shirai and Beth Phoenix where they talked about her loss to Raquel Gonzalez, and that's when Frankie Monet showed up, interrupted, tried to, make it about her. Io Shirai took exception to that, and I think Frankie is really good. So far, her character is pretty good. She's doing it a little bit better than like a Lacey Evans or an Emma in terms of, being an attention-starved type of person. I think she carries that well, and she should be an asset there. She's a good talent. So I'm excited to see her actually get in the ring and how she looks compared to how she did in all those years in TNA. So we'll see. She's a good addition, basically, I think, to the roster for the most part. Yeah, Austin, you missed Black and Ricochet as a tag team. I kind of didn't like them as a tag team very much. I thought they were both better as singles, and I thought they were more slapped together than anything else, and that was what was annoying. John Cena heel turn and become a 17-time champion. John Cena heel turn now I think would be tough to pull off unless he wants to dedicate a couple of years, unless he says, okay, I'm going to come in, no movies, no bullshit for 2 years. I'm going to be focused on WWE. I'm going to be back, just for a quick 2-year span where he can be a heel for a year and a half, really hot heel, and then maybe go back to being a babyface, cool off or whatever, if he wants to, or if WWE really wanted to get fun. Could you imagine John Cena and Roman Reigns both heels in the company? But at this point, I think that they kind of missed the boat on that. I've said time and time again, the time to do that was 8 years ago. The time to do that was 2013, the night after WrestleMania 29 in New York, after he beat The Rock and sent The Rock packing to come out and tell the fans to go fuck themselves and turn in to Hollywood Hulk Hogan or Hollywood John Cena. I would have loved that. That would have printed money. Imagine ECW One Night Stand in 2006 in the Hammerstein Ballroom. Imagine that, but in 10 to 20,000 seat arenas where you got 20,000 people just screaming, at Cena, because before, Cena was polarizing. You had the older fans booing him, younger fans cheering him. Here, everybody's going to boo him. The older fans that are so pent up and irrationally angry, they already hate him already. And then if he turns on all of his little followers, they're going to be mad, and that's going to be a whole lot of heat. And it feels like you could have created that atmosphere in every single arena that Cena went to if he would have just gone out there that night and just cut the promo of a lifetime on all the fans, and you would have, oh my God, the money they could have made with that would have been ridiculous. But they didn't. They were too chicken shit to do it. They were worried about the merchandise sales or whatever. They were too chicken to take a risk. Vince built his company on taking risk, and he missed a big opportunity here because I think it would have never been something you couldn't come back from. Based on who Cena was already at that time, he could have gone heel and came back. It would have been fine, but they had to stay true to that superhero persona. I think they regret it, which is why they did not hesitate to do that with Roman Reigns, because had they not come to that realization, we might just still see suffer and succotash Roman Reigns out there every week on TV. So it's a good thing they said, remember that mistake we made with Cena? Let's not do that with Reigns, because they've hit a home run here with Reigns, and they could have with Cena. So I feel like if they didn't do it then, what's the point of doing it now when he's so much in the public eye, and he's in so many movies, and he's so overall likable? Just in, John Cena is not getting to the point. I think he's there. John Cena is a household name. Even people who don't know anything about wrestling know who John Cena is, and he's on that list. There's only a small handful of household names in wrestling. There's only a few. Not everybody's heard of John Moxley, and not even Chris Jericho, Cena, not even Randy Orton, maybe, but I think John Cena, yes, everybody has heard of John Cena. So he's one of those guys to come back now and be a heel. Not that they can't do it. Not that I wouldn't enjoy to see it. I just feel like, what's the point at this point? What's the point? I don't know if there is one. We will see. I'm doing great, Charlie. I hope you are good as well. I actually got to take off here in just a couple of minutes because I got to get off here to work. I would love a Hollywood Cena, like a Hollywood Rock. He should do it. They should do it. They should do it. No, Deshaun, I'm not watching UFC 261. I've got to hightail it out of here and head to work. And then I got to come home and do a couple things. And then we're back tomorrow for a Royal Rumble 1993 review right before Rebellion starts. So no UFC for me tonight. If Cena was in Roman's spot today, would Roman still be a face? I don't know what Roman would be doing. If they were both there, you mean? I don't know. I definitely maybe keep them on separate brands. Austin, I'm assuming you mean Tessa. I think she'll turn up at some point for sure. I think that's the case. But anyway, so this is your last chance before I get out of here. If you guys want to enter to win the Sami Zayn dancing t-shirt, all you got to do is hashtag Sammy for Syria in the chat right there. I've got a screen recorder on, so I'm just going to pick a name at random, 2 names at random, and I will get up with you on where to mail these shirts to you if you win. Tomorrow on the Royal Rumble 1993 review, I will announce the winners there, and I will also post on YouTube in the community tab the winners as well. If I don't know who you are, I'm going to need you to get up with me via email. I'll put the information in the posts to let me know your address and things like that. If I recognize you and I know who you are, I'll find you, hit you up on a DM on Twitter or whatever and say, hey, you won the t-shirt, give me your address type of thing. So just hashtag Sammy for Syria in the chat. You are automatically entered, and we will pick 2 names and mail out these deliciously sexy t-shirts to you as soon as I get them in the mail. And again, I apologize for only having the shirt size large. These are only on sale for another day or so, and I didn't think there would be enough time to pick a winner, contact you, find out which size you wanted before they shut the sale down. So I kind of had to buy them ahead of time. So unfortunately, I only have larges, but if large is too small for you or if large is too big for you, maybe you know somebody who it fits perfectly and give it to them as a gift. The point here is to donate to a good cause, and I really like the Sammy for Syria cause and what it stands for, represent, and helps out doing. And so we want to give away a couple of these today. So anyway, last chance to do that there before I be signing off. I guess that is going to wrap it up. Again, I want to apologize. This was a little bit shoddier of an episode because I did lose all my notes 5 minutes before going live here. So I really kind of had to scramble and go a little bit by memory. I will remember to save my projects from now on. That way, if I do have a power surge, I will not lose any work. But that's just kind of the breaks, and that's the way life goes sometimes. But I think we survived just fine. Still a very fun podcast. Still hanging out with you guys. And I think we, for the most part, covered everything I intended to, just with the little holes and gaps in between from some of the work I lost. But other than that, it was a lot of fun chilling with you guys today. I appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow for the Royal Rumble review. And then again on Monday for the Monday Night Raw review. 3 days of good mic work. Hope y'all are ready. Have a good